Hello, everyone. Eric Watson here. Welcome to Chat for the Lost Plane, our weekly live-streamed post-session discussion where we talk about what just happened during D&D. This is the chat for session 15. If you haven't watched that session yet, please go do that now because there will be spoilers. DM Chris is here.
Hello.
Raymond is around. This was another combat session.
It was. As I said last time, you guys kind of front. Which, I mean, it's kind of, now that I'm looking at it, perhaps it's designed that way a little bit. But you guys kind of front-loaded the dialogue stuff, the social encounters in the first session of this dungeon. And yes, this one was just pure combat, basically.
Which felt good, I think.
Yes, for sure. I thought it was, you guys needed a chance to sort of have a full, and we're at the point now with the way the pace we're taking, when the time we're taking with these sessions. For the most part, one combat session, if it's a major combat session, it's going to be the whole session. Right?
Yeah.
It would take a very minor.
Yeah. It seems like, especially, with this kind of campaign, you're kind of cutting out all the really, even the ones that feel like a little random, and kind of like this one, it's like, oh no, we got a big thing planned.
Yep.
In fact, I was surprised when we first started attacking them and they started dying so quickly. I was like, oh, this is... And then you had that big, and I was like, okay, there's a big monster. When you first announced that this big giant monster was coming, I was like, okay, this feels like a cinematic almost, where it's like this is like a hazard that we need to avoid. But then you had that monster just pop up right there. I was like, oh, maybe this is actually a fight that we're supposed to fight. But then a lot of the party had the mentality, like, including me, I was like, we need to get away from this thing.
And I'll be honest with you, that's not an eventuality I thought of.
That's what I was going to ask you, if you thought we were going to stand and fight, or if you thought we were supposed to, haul ass away.
So much so that I didn't really have like a contingency plan for those tunnels that you guys were going down. Like, there's nothing down there. Like, there's nothing to run into.
Yeah.
Unless you go a very specific way, and then you
could have stopped it, though. Initially, you even closed that tunnel off.
It wasn't, though, and that was weird. It wasn't. It just, I think you guys just weren't seeing the path north, and I didn't realize there was a path north until somebody moved up and saw it. I was like, oh yeah, there is a path there. It's kind of hard to see with all that fog effect over the map sometimes.
You almost had an out, though, because you could have just closed that off and been like, there's nowhere to go. You have to stand and fight. Which was initially... That was I thought you were doing initially, and you were saying it's a dead end. I was like, oh, I guess we have to turn around and fight this thing.
Which, I mean, you guys could have turned around and fight it, but I felt like what you did was a totally valid strategy, because it's just this mindless beast that's attacking you. So if you just book it out of there, that's immediately what I thought when you guys started doing it. I was like, well, what would he do? Like, it's just even as the voice told you, the voice is just sort of pointing it in your direction.
Yeah.
So if there's no enemies in front of it anymore, it's just going to keep on its way, probably.
I think that's kind of what we were thinking.
So, yeah, that was a totally viable strategy, but I was not going to move him until he literally had no one to attack anymore, until everyone was out of sight.
Would he have if we had just continued running, would he have just continued following us down the tunnel, or at some point would you have...
He wasn't going to fit down those narrow tunnels. If you guys had kept pulling back slowly, he would have been able to make it, because if you look at the map, in the beginning of those tunnels, they're about 10 feet wide.
Yeah.
So he could probably squeeze in there and still be slashing or smacking with his tentacles. But once you guys got into those narrow portions, they're just a little bit farther.
That was a while, though, to get to those.
Yeah, I probably would have had him not able to go any farther at that point.
That would have taken a lot longer.
It would have. It would have been probably one, maybe two more rounds of him being able to attack you before you were able to get away. But you guys teleporting, that actually did work. Yeah. Because then there's nothing to chase. It's just like, they're just gone.
Is that creature from that dungeon? Or is that something you made up?
Oh, no. I just made this up.
Wow.
There is a creature called the Chaos Beast from, I think, Tomb of Beasts 2, I think. Let me look up what that's from.
Because you had some fascinating abilities on there.
I made most of them up.
Wow.
It was a lot of just made up stuff.
The only thing that I raised an eyebrow at was that one towards the end where excuse me, where you lit a creature on fire, and then the person next to them took the full damage, and they didn't get to have a save or anything.
Right. That, as I was doing that to Gillian, I was like, in my head, I was going if I were to retune this a little bit, it probably would take half damage around her, or a save maybe, because explosions let people take a save.
Yeah, it feels like there should have been just a save in there somewhere, because otherwise because you didn't target her, but she just took the full damage and had nothing, no dice roll or anything.
Yeah, but that's one of those things, that particular ability, the 1d6 there, was something I wrote like yesterday. So it was like, I didn't have time to really like play test it or whatever. It was just, okay.
This is the play test. So what could it do? So it did its 3 target thing first? Was that part of its action, or was that just like an effect that was going on?
It can do both. It can do its 3-eye thing, but the first round it appeared, my logic was that the first round it appeared, it used all its movement to get there. It was coming towards you, and it emerged out of the water, and it wasn't within 10 feet of any of you at that point, so it just used its eye thing.
Okay.
The next 2
I thought that was all it could do until it started attacking. I was like, oh shit.
The next 2 turns, it was actually able to use its 10-foot range tentacle attack, where it just inflicts the chaos magic on whoever it hits.
Yeah, which is a clever idea, because that stuff was... First of all, that stuff's hilarious, but also noticeably debilitating for a lot of us.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what a lot of inspired our retreat, was like, oh god, we're all so like disadvantaged.
We're getting shut down by weird things.
Yeah.
There was the fog clouds were actually pretty bad, because they make you not able to attack very well.
They do.
Basically.
And I'm pretty sure we forgot about all instances of exhaustion anybody had, and I don't think we ever remembered that Tim has advantage. People have advantage on Tim.
I don't know.
Because of his glitter.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever... I forgot about it until I mentioned that one time. I was like, wait, what does his glitter do? And you were like, oh yeah.
Yep.
But I think
that's partially one of the pitfalls of having an encounter where there's so many status effects going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. We ended up seeing. So, how big is that table? The Twisted Caverns effects.
Oh, let's see if I can count it while we're talking.
Interested to know how many we've seen, I guess, at this point.
Right.
And notice in this fight, especially, we were risking it. I especially was like, well, if they're vulnerable to fire, I'm just gonna start fucking throwing fireballs around. And I still think it was worth it, because I didn't get that debilitated, and I was able to kill a bunch of them each round. And Gillian killed a bunch with the Thunder Wave.
Yes, for sure.
Not realizing that it was overkill. Which those guys seemed very glass cannony, which is a fun creature to have.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they don't stay around very long, but when they do get a chance to hit, they deal like their damage.
Yeah, exactly. And that was they were very because they're also those aren't even a creature at all. That's an image that I saw. I was like, I'm gonna use those in this dungeon. And
this whole campaign is just your excuse for creating monsters, basically.
Yeah, kind of. They're half supposed to be like Last of Us clicker kind of type things, where they just sort of mindlessly charge at people, but also kind of like that, like the Boomer from Left 4 Dead, sort of that style of like, okay, you just don't want them to get too close to, like the chariots almost from Hades.
Yeah, they explode.
Like they just their job is just get in, do as much damage as they can before they die, and just explode and let the spores
go. That's a
fun
off. Thing to do, because you don't have to worry about an action or anything, and enemy and players are always going to be like fighting these things, and just have any creature that can explode and do a thing is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lumpy's asking about.
It happened a bunch. You guys it went off a bunch of times.
It did. That's the thing, is it compounded the poison on top of like all the other effects we had. We're so fucking disadvantaged right now.
Yeah.
I think that inspired us to like retreat from this fight rather than stay and fight it.
Yeah. And you guys were doing some damage. I mean, Scarlet basically was it, but she did some solid damage on her turn. She damaged it.
I mean, I was thinking if we actually can't hit this thing, and we're all attacking it, we could probably do a lot of damage. But it also could do, charisma saves are not something most of us are going to be very good at. And if I want to ask you this too. Were you randomly rolling for it to target people, or were you saying, okay, I'm just gonna let it start killing the minions and also target you guys?
I was literally looking at the clock going like, it makes sense for him to start attacking minions.
Okay.
But also, he was a mindless beast. And I was like, he's gonna attack whoever's in front of him. Yeah. So if there was 4 in front of him and 2 of them were the limpets, I was like, all right, I'm gonna have him attack the little guys first.
That kind of saved our bacon. And then that was around the time we started retreating. Is like he's running out of minions to kill. He's gonna start targeting us 3 times with that ability, and that's gonna start taking a lot of damage.
Yeah. At some point, all 3 of you are gonna get targeted with the eyes.
Yeah. Odds are we're not gonna be making those saves, and then we're gonna have disadvantage on it. I mean, we probably could have killed it, but it would have been, I think, a lot more painful to stay in and fight it.
Yep.
Lumpy was asking where you got the Chaos Magic rollable table. I think, is that from Mad Mage, but
Tasha's.
You modified it?
No,
that was from Tasha's. That's
partially
right.
from Tasha's, and I could try to figure out which.
What was that one?
But
Is
it's
it the
not
Far
all.
Realm?
It's not all Tasha's. Say again.
It's one of the supernatural hazards.
It is one of the supernatural realms. Let's see which one it is. Environmental hazards is what it's called.
Yeah. Shout out to Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, which has a lot of really neat tables for environmental effects and hazards.
Like universe tables. I pulled some from Unraveling Magic out of Tasha's. I pulled a few of them out of Unraveling Magic. A few of them out of I think there was some other ones at the bottom, like magical mushrooms. If you eat them, things happen to you. I think that's where the eye stalks come from. So I kind of because there was rules I had for this Chaos Magic table. I was pulling it from a lot of different. I was just Googling wild magic tables. It could only be a thing that physically changed the creature, right? So it couldn't be an effect that did things to anyone else around them. It wasn't like you get to cast a spell or it wasn't anything like that. Because a lot of the wild magic tables are I don't know, your next spell is twice as strong or stuff like that. It has to be something that is affecting you, the person who is getting the magic. I didn't want it to be anything that was too mechanical. I want it to be something that happens right then. Some of them were or you get a bardic inspiration or something like that. I want it to be something that physically changes the character.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea of the table is the reality of your person changes. And that's what's happening.
And there's no save. It's just if you cast a spell or a spell effect, this thing will affect you.
Yep. And a lot of them are kind of harmless, like you've seen, hovering above the ground. I mean, that actually could, depending on a certain situation.
It kind of helped because then that grease spell happened and he didn't get affected by it, which is pretty funny.
But the glitter has a slight bad thing. What else was there? The skin color didn't do anything.
Right.
You not telling a lie is just sort of fun.
It's just fun. Yeah. Which that's a neat idea. And it's weird because on the one hand, it's an interesting risk reward with casting spells. On the other hand, your players almost kind of want to play with that fire because it does lead to some really funny moments. Instead of just doing one of them's 8d6 to yourself or something. That doesn't seem like there's any of those. It's just something that you can role play with and have fun with, which is always
exactly
entertaining. Were you able to answer the question of how many there are of these that you
somewhere
gathered?
Between 30 and 35?
Okay, wow.
So you guys have probably experienced almost a dozen of them at this point.
Yeah, that way. The only bummer is as we've seen tonight, when you have so many status effects, you're bound to lose
track.
Track and not remember who's got what.
Which is partially why I was kind of adamant on even when you guys said you're going to short rest, I was like, okay, well, if you guys are short resting, everything gets
all of them goes away. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about which one still has 20 minutes left or something like that.
I didn't want to have you guys go into this next section with a bunch of weird modifiers. Then I had to remember Plus, some of them are pretty debilitating. You as a crossbowman, you're doing shooting range attacks. Having a fog cloud in front of your eyes is a pretty debilitating ability.
That's pretty bad. I would still argue my Devil's Sight should be able to look out of it, though.
Darkness, imagine daylight mist. It's full daylight and there's fog in front of you. Fog is not darkness.
He doesn't even have dark vision. He literally has magic eyes that can see through all that shit.
But that does specify magic darkness. I'm drawing a line between darkness and fog.
So fog is better than magic darkness?
Well, natural fog, yeah. At least it's a different reason that you can't see.
Darkness is a lack of light.
Right. Fog is like water in the air. Yeah.
Something my Devil's Sight.
Same reason is even though you have magical darkness, if someone held up a sheet in front of you, you still wouldn't be able to see through the sheet. A fog is just a sheet made of water droplets.
A fog is a sheet made of water droplets. Curse you, fog.
But yeah, and you guys have gotten one. And when that happened, I briefly considered, but we were near the end, so that's probably why I didn't do it. Considered not having that one stick and have a re-roll. Because I kind of wanted to just not do the same one twice.
Yeah, but it's gonna happen. I mean, if you got a table like that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so we'll see how many others you guys experience, but
pacing wise, even running from the monster, did we pretty much make it? It sounds like we did. We kind of made it to the next scenario.
Pretty much. You guys are probably about 5 minutes behind where I thought you were going to be at the end of the session.
Okay, maybe like a little role playing scene first. And then,
yeah. There's like the little intro to the next room you're going into. I
Yeah.
considered that being tonight, but as it was like literally like 5 minutes till 10, I was like, I'm gonna say that for next week.
That's probably fine.
Let's see. You know what I will do, Lumpy? At the end of this, once they're out of the Chaos Caverns, or the Twisted Caverns, I will put the chart on Discord.
Hey, there you go.
So you all can take it as you will and delete it and add to it if you want, but I'll just put it on Discord for you. Yeah. And I kind of like that. I just kind of like that idea, especially as we were talking about like high level, how hard it is to challenge you guys kind of with just regular combat.
Yeah.
Just the stacking of weird status effects, like the stacking of just weird conditions and, happenstance that might be going on.
It's funny how it's mentally, I don't know if we're still even, and maybe it's just because we're not all necessarily power gamers or anything, but I don't know if we still even realize our own capabilities yet. We still have that thing like, oh god, there's a big thing, we gotta run away.
That's true. I mean,
it's a big tentacle monster.
15 heroes. Like,
oh wait, we actually could have turned around and just fucking like smacked this thing to the ground if we really focused fire on it. But the magic thing was an interest. Like, not only were you stacking these effects, but like literally every time we cast a spell, we ran the risk of having another thing happen. And that does show. I mean, Tim even mentioned the fact like, well, I can't cast spells. Like, I can't really do much other than swing my hammer.
Yep.
So that was very. I mean, that definitely affected our ability to want to stand and fight that thing.
Yeah.
I bet we could have probably taken it down, but we would have. I think we would have taken another full round or two of that thing, like doing all of its targeted abilities. Kethra, if anything, motivated us to get the hell out though, because she was fucking gone.
Yep, led the charge.
Yeah.
I was about to say the opposite. If I wasn't down to 34 points, I might have.
Right. Kethra took some damage though. Like she was hurting by the time she left.
Yeah. What was that? All the little Olympic guys that was surrounding you, or did you get hit by the Chaos Beast?
Both.
Both of them.
Yeah, both. Yeah.
It's Slash. I think 3 out of 4 hit me, maybe.
That's I remember that. Those fucking things. Yeah. Like I was blowing them up, and then I was like, oh, they're just dying real quick. And then when you had the rest of them, and then Gillian blew up like the other half. And so we're like, well, shit, these guys are easy. And then they surface, all of a sudden they start just slicing apart. We're like, oh, okay, they actually do a lot of damage.
Yeah. His numbers took over because it was 2 per creature.
Yeah.
Right? 2 attacks per creature.
Yeah,
they
like
were
10
getting really
damage.
good rolls too. That was,
And I did get hit by the Chaos Beast as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the cold. Yeah.
Cold damage.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was like 30-something.
It added up.
That just happens sometimes where it's a battle that doesn't look any more difficult or easier than any other battle as a DM, and all of a sudden you're just fucking nailing all your rolls.
Yes.
And it's like, oh shit, this just became a way more challenging battle just because of the dice.
Yep. Especially early on. Usually if that starts happening at the end of a fight, generally the players are like, we're going to power through, we're going to finish this. And that's kind of like
true.
More empowering for them. But if it happens early on in a fight,
you're nailing those.
It takes the initiative there, or they're like, oh no, we probably should look at other options.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
How much of this map do you think, of this Mad Mage map, did you end up actually employing?
Not a lot, to be honest. You guys,
these things are fucking huge. Then
they're real huge. Yeah, but I kind of feel like I like the fact that we're sort of streamlining them a little bit with the way you guys are playing it, and me to sort of like being a little bit more directionalized with the way I'm guiding the players.
Yeah, these really large maps, I think that helps a lot with just being able to be like, all right, where are we, and just have us fast travel around. It's something I wish I had in video games, frankly. Like, can I go back to this area right here?
Yeah, but if we're gonna divide it into quarters. You guys did one full quarter of the map in last session.
Yeah, we actually covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, the Kikimora and the Giant, the Fomorian, and the Slots. which actually, you know what? Those 3, that's probably, you probably did a third of the map with that.
Okay.
But then this session, you guys didn't do barely even a sixth of them because you stayed on the rivers, and there's a whole section to the south that you guys saw, but you didn't go into it. There's a whole section when you guys were in those tunnels to the north of where that you didn't go up to the north stretch. There's a whole section up there you didn't go into.
Right, the fakers, because we went on the river, just went around all that, and it looked.
Yep. So you guys didn't cover much territory, like actual like map square mileage or square footage. This session hardly at all. And then there's a whole third of the map that's in the northeast corner that you guys would never see because you just didn't go that direction. Which I think is fine. My only bummer is that I had to prepare it all.
Yeah.
and now I've got all this stuff that like, okay, I've prepared all these different creatures and
I think you mentioned there were fiends up there because I did my like sense thing. Like Caleb would love to hunt fiends, but he fucking hates this place that has like lists his magic up.
Yep.
I mean, assuming we end it next session, I feel like we've explored a good chunk of this dungeon and gotten a good experience out of it.
I feel the same way. Like if you guys finish it next week, which you almost certainly will.
Yeah. That'd be 4 sessions at this dungeon.
At this level. Well, the first session was not necessarily in the dungeon.
That's true. That's true. But you were including. So do you include that with your planning in terms of the like travel and pre stuff? Because it's like you're at this place for this level.
Yep. I consider that initial encounter part of the level.
Yeah.
Like part of the level 15 is that initial encounter.
Because I know you specifically doing it to where you don't let us long rest between, so it becomes like part of the dungeon crawl at that point.
Exactly. So yes, in that regard, you're right. It'll be 4 sessions here at this level.
Yeah. Which is probably a good pace, because I think the last ones have been more like 6 or 7.
Yeah, that's the pace I want to keep. But I need to look at the calendars and see because that still leaves 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 20 is probably just going to be probably like 1 or 2 sessions.
Yeah.
But that's still like if we do that equates to about a month per level. Wow. That's a pretty long time. I don't know.
Wait, so what there's 16, 17, 18, 19. 5 months? That's a long time.
That's the thing. I got to look at like I don't know.
We were initially thinking this was going to be like 20 sessions.
I know.
But that's tricky. I mean, that's one of the hardest things to do.
It's real tricky.
And I realize
it's tricky.
At this level, it's taking us a lot longer, and we're doing slightly less not as long sessions, but I think you're doing a pretty good job with the pacing also. We tend to be starting more on time, around 9:35 maybe, and we're tend to go between 11:45 and midnight my time.
Yeah.
Which feels pretty good. I mean, that's a change that I'm a fan of. I think it does better when we have those snappier sessions and keep everybody locked in.
Yeah. So we'll see. Ostensibly, to keep like an actual like legit schedule, I would like to keep the next 4 levels to maybe 3 sessions apiece.
Yeah.
Like 16, 17, 18, 19, and then 20 is probably going to be 1 or 2 sessions.
Yeah.
20 is probably just going to be like, all right, the climax, and that's it.
Yeah. We may have to montage some travel sequences or something.
Mm-hmm.
Unless the area is the travel, but
right. So yeah, we'll see. I haven't gotten far enough in the planning of the later dungeons to actually know how I need to trim it down for pacing. But
so for sure, next week is normal on the 18th. For sure, the 25th we're not having a session. Obviously, holiday. Right. I think you're still out of town on the 1st, right? I mean, I don't see any way of you doing it.
I may still be. I could probably run it from my laptop. Well, let's wait and see.
Okay.
let's make that determination sometime during the week of the 21st. Sometime during that week, I'll play with it and see if I can actually run it from.
Keep it open. Yeah, I don't want to pressure you at it because I mean we could still do the holiday. If it was New Year's Eve, I would say obviously no way, but it's actually New Year's Day evening.
Right.
So that's on a Friday. So I mean.
Yep. Yeah.
Cool.
I think the timing will work out real well because I think we'll be done with this particular dungeon next week, and then we'll start the new thing on the 1st.
Yes,
if we're doing it on the 1st. So
that'd be good timing. Indeed. All right, I think that will do it for this week.
One thing we didn't mention. You guys like the voice?
Oh yeah, the voice. So funny is me and Raymond know because you've been playing around with this fucking voice modulator. But I don't think I'd heard that one that you used.
I specifically didn't share that one. I already had that one locked in.
Kept that one in your pocket.
Nah. Yep.
I really liked that voice. That one, it sounded clear, which I think was a big problem with the other voices. Even if they did modulate it, it was real like scraggly or something.
Yep.
That one sounded really clear and crisp, and I liked how it modulated. I mean, it sounded like a big booming presence. It was very cool. Thumbs up to that. Yeah, I forgot to mention that too.
All right.
Something we hadn't played around with yet, but
yeah. My problem is that I have to like set it like I'm listening to myself talk while I'm setting it up.
Yeah.
But in the actual session, I don't hear it.
You don't hear it, yeah.
Because
you don't normally have that setting to hear yourself, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
So at one point during tonight's session, I thought to myself, like, all right, if I accidentally like didn't hit the button and was just doing the voice, but it wasn't actually getting the modulation, I would have no idea.
You'd have no idea, yeah. That's true. Give me a sign, guys. Did you hear that voice in a different way?
Did it sound cool?
It did sound
cool. Was
cool.
it the deep voice? All right.
It did sound cool.
Nice. All right.
Well, some people might want to know what program is that?
Oh yeah.
That is a program called VoiceMod. They just got all these presets in that program, and you can set Discord to just what you do is you change Discord to be instead of the microphone input, it's that program is the input. So it's like running your audio through that program and then into Discord. Yep.
That seemed pretty easy to turn it off and on because you were able to switch back.
I had it on keys. I had to change the.
Oh, that fun. I accidentally just restarted the map.
There's two hotkeys. There's a hotkey to go to that voice. There's a hotkey to go back to no filter on, and the hotkey to go back to no filter on it was F5.
Great. So. That was funny when you mentioned that. Like, what button does this again? Like,
Yep.
I did notice you dropped off from the map.
I didn't even notice that. Yeah.
On Roll20, I mean, and you came back.
All right, that will do it for this week's chat for the Lost Plane. Thank you, DM Chris, Player Raymond. I'm Eric. Thank you to all the fans for watching, and we will see you all next week.
Later.